This is Broward Housing Solutions. We're here with Jason. He's going to share with us his story.
Hi, my name is Jason Gillis. I've been homeless for 4 years, and I have a home now through Broward Housing Solutions. So I guess I'll share a little bit about, my upbringing of how I was raised, and I was diagnosed with all sorts of different things as a kid. I had ADD, and it just ADHD and so on and so forth. So I had a hard time accepting, as I grew up, and there was, something wrong with me, that I had, bipolar disorder. And so for a lot of years I self-medicated alcohol and different various drugs, and I was looking for, always an outside, solution for an inside problem. And I didn't realize that, people who were trying to, I was very suspicious of people growing up because I didn't have the most trust. And so, as I grew in my age, my depression and my bipolar disorder, I acted out. I've been from Pompano to Idaho, it seems like, trying to find a solution. And what I realized is, if, I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, and, if you, put a donkey in a crate and ship it from Boston to Florida, it's still a jackass when you open that crate. And it was really hard for me to accept, it was hard for me to accept the different things that I went through in my life. I think homelessness is misinterpreted, because if you lose a few family members in a job, and you could be in the same situation, and then the uphill grind of just medical insurance, to try to get medical insurance, and then I've been in and out of hospitals, and not really believing in the medical field, being suspicious and sometimes paranoid. The clock says Prozac and the pen says Zoloft, and I thought they were all like laughing in Aspen skiing, on the state's dollar, my dollar, or whatever industry pays for different meds. So, but as I go on, I tried every solution. I've tried, from religion to treatment, to everything possibly that I could find. And what I realized was, at the end, when I accepted that I have this condition, and I started taking my meds in the last 9 months, I realized that life is possible for me. And it's not, that I'm a bad person, that I always had the stigma of mental illness, that it was like people who, had yellow fingers and drank a lot of coffee and talked to themselves. We have faces just like myself, and we still have normal, thoughts and actions. And sometimes, when I ended up being on the streets for off and on for actually 20 years, but 4 to 5 years in the last, 5 years, it was rough. It's like falling in a hole, and you get comfortable in the hole, and you start hanging pictures, in this hole, and then you don't know who to trust when you're on the streets, who's trying to reach out. And there's not a lot of organizations like Broward Housing Solutions that will help you, as long as you're willing to help yourself. And at the time, I had a lot of different reasons of why I couldn't do this, and excuses. But when you get to the point when there's no one else left, and you're by yourself alone, and you keep on running into the police, because it's this situation that's like this cat and mouse game, where you're on the streets, you get a trespass, and they don't want you here, but you've got no place to go, so you get a ticket here, and then you end up jailed there, and then you're in the court system, now you're in jail. And it's kind of like a hotel, you're in there 7 days, and then you're back on the streets. They let you out at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now you're back on the streets, and now they're saying, you can't stay here. So where do you go? Where do you go when you show up to shelters and there's no place to stay? Where do you go when there's nothing, but the streets? And you got $1 in your pocket, and water's $1.50, and a beer's $1. You choose what you drink, what you can afford. Holding the sign, and a lot of people think like, it's just as easy. I heard, get a job. You wake up every day dirty, no place to shower, and it's great that people donate toothbrushes and toothpaste and things like that. Believe me, it's needed. But when you don't have a place to use them, that's another thing. And that was the case, that I would, be on the streets, and people would, tell me to get a job, and you know, it's one thing living on a bridge, you know, thinking, you know, and then not treating my mental illness, and I'm like caught up in this cycle of like, you know, drinking, you know, outside in the heat. I mean, it's not, you know, you probably drive, you know, hopefully the people you drive by every day and you see them with signs that we're human, you know, and a lot of people kind of, you know, they wouldn't even look at us. And I remember like the degraded feeling that people couldn't even, you know, look you in the eye. You became like, you know, invisible, and that was one of the most pride crushing things in my life. And you know, I remember I was holding a sign one day, and the guy from the shelter, the director of the shelter, he pulled up and he started talking to me, and he told me about Broward Outreach Center, and then I was connected to Broward Housing Solutions, and that's how I got to my apartment today. And you know, it's amazing. You know, there's nothing like walking home in the rain, and now you have a key, and you know, you can open up your door. You know, and you know, it was really at first it's like, what do? You want to change and you want a place, and you know, how do you get an apartment, you know, in the situation that you're in? And I still had a hard time accepting at first that I had to take meds, and you know, and then I remember one of the case managers said, Jason, I don't think you're crazy, I just want you to be stable. And I remember just that person like telling me that making me feel like there wasn't nothing wrong, that they just wanted me to get help for myself. It did something to me, rather than, you know, you got to do this and you got to do that, or they try to put meds on you in the jails, and you know they got their meds wrong, and the bad. It's just you know, you meet with someone for 2 minutes and they give you like 6 meds. It's really hard to trust anything when you're being treated in a facility that you're in there for trespassing because you're homeless, and then you get a beer citation for drinking a beer in public, and then you're in the system that's perpetual. It just kind of keeps going and going, and then you're in, and you got to be to court, and then you miss court, and then they pick you up, and then you're back in Pompano, and then, you know, it's just like the vicious cycle. And it's like once you get in it, it's so hard to get out of it. So that day when I met the you know, the director, it changed my life. You know, and I just like how, you know, there's that thing, it's called 6 degrees of separation. It was just like how everything kind of worked in accordance when I put that first step forward, and I walked up that street, and I made a decision to change my life. And as I went on, you know, the Lord, you know, has blessed me. You know, I was on the streets, and I felt hopeless. I felt like I was dead, but it just wouldn't kill me. And the biggest thing, what I could try to give someone is hope. You know, you really can't give someone anything else but hope, and maybe that this could give someone hope someday, that like, if I can do it, you can do it, and if you can do it, we all can do it. And that's what it is. It has to be a collective group that supports each other. You know, not trying to identify each other, try to empathize with each other and have some sympathy. Sometimes, you know, you can forget sometimes what it is to have a toothbrush when you have one every day, and you can forget what it is to have a bar of soap when you have one, or just a basic towel, or clean socks, or shower. There's nothing like coming home and being able to shower. It just does something for me in my spirit, and I don't even know how to explain it to me, to like have a apartment these days, and like, it took me 6 months to get cable. I just got cable the other day, and you know, it's like amazing to me that like I have TV, you know, and I have a pillow, you know, I have a stove to cook on. Like, it's like, it blows me away, you know. And I wake up some days and it's really hard to, my first couple months I was in my apartment, I'd wake up and I'd be like, I thought I was in a stranger's house. It was hard for me to accept at first, because, you know, the basic elements of humanity, being human, is, you know, just having shelter and a place to shower, and I didn't have that no more. So it was kind of hard for me to accept at first, and it was a tough transition. It took me like 3 months to get a can opener. I remember I opened up my fridge and I opened the can with a knife, and the girl was like, you know, like, you don't have a can opener? And I didn't realize, and I looked at her like, what do you mean? It's open. Like, those are the basic things that you lose when you're on the streets, and it's just as simple having a can opener. And you know, I went out and got a can opener, but those are the funny things that, like, from being on the streets, or just having a bathroom, you know. Just imagine not having a place to just use the bathroom, you know, and then having society not wanting you around, feeling degraded, and I just don't wish upon anybody that has to go through it. And that's pretty much why I'm doing, you know, the video, is that if you can help, please help, and if you know, please not to have judgment on people that have mental illness and that have been homeless. Is that, you know, some of us just want a hand up, not a handout, and those are the simple things that, like, sometimes a hello is like a ham sandwich to people on the street. So that was for me, and people took their time. And one thing that I realized about humanity is I always thought like there was this great evil thing, and what I realized is, being on the street, there is good people though in this world, and you know, it seemed like I got by every single day, you know, but now I have an opportunity to live, which is different than just surviving, you know, and that's like, I mean, how do you put that in words? It's more of like a feeling, and it's more of what I want to do, is to help, you know, people, and inspire people, and, you know, give them a fresh start on life, you know, and that's kind of what I want to do someday, you know. Growing up was tough, you know. My parents died young, and my grandfather died, and then, you know, I was kind of left to my own devices, you know, growing up in a drug family. You know, my mother was addicted to drugs, and my father was addicted to drugs, and my mother contracted the virus in the 80s, and my dad contracted it in the 90s, and then I pretty much spiraled down. There was no one there, and, you know, what I realize is now that was my life then, and today is my choice of what I want to do forward. And there's nothing like being empowered, to have an opportunity and a place to be empowered, rather than like just feeling hopeless and lost, and you know, I was scared. And the greatest thing about, you know, having an apartment is that, you know, it's yours, and that you can, you know, put pictures up on it, and you can have, you know, whatever you want to do. You can, if you want to clean it, you can, and if not, you don't have to, you know. And you know, the choices that you have in life when you have a place to stay is incredible. And so I thank you for taking time to watch this. And if there's any time anybody ever needs any questions, or if I can help anyone, please contact Javier or Broward Housing Solutions, that maybe I can come and spread some hope. Thanks.
This is just something I want to express my future, my hope of I told you my past, I told you what I went through to get where I am today, and this is my hopes for the future. When I was in Broward Outreach Center, we started this penny program. I was called Pennies Help People, and we raised 50 bus passes. There's a lot of programs out there, but it takes time to get bus passes, and sometimes they don't have bus passes, and we got people jobs with this. We got, they wrote letters, and I hope someday that we can start a charity organization with some sort of transportation service for people who are on the streets, that we can get them to jobs, that we can do emergency moves, that we can help people who don't have money to move around in Broward County. And this is my dream. This is my hope. This is my baby. We had this in the shelter, and we raised about $200 in 2 months. You know, there's one thing being in a program, you know, for 2 months or 3 months, but when it's 3 weeks to get a bus pass, what do you do to get a job? And then it's another month. You know, people need resources out there. You know, there's a lot of good programs, but there's a lot of cracks in these programs. And we need to learn how to, you know, smooth them over, that people can get their medication. So I hope someday that maybe someone might see this and want to be a part of it, or help me, inspire me, or give me more ideas. And, you know, I'm definitely motivated and animated, and I just want to help people, man. I'm a street guy, and I would love to help people with this. Thanks.